The princess of hip-hop, Aaliyah's death in 2001 rocked the entire world, not just the music industry. So many people identified with her and loved the young star, and she was immortalized in not only song, but her performances on the silver screen shot her into superstardom. But there have been rumors and theories going around for more than 20 years now that Aaliyah's death was no accident. But if it wasn't an accident, who was to blame? Was it a family cover-up? Men in the industry who were already using her like R. Kelly, Dame Dash, and Jay-Z? Or the women she feuded with like Missy Elliott, Brandy, and Beyonce? I'm gonna go deep and give you all the deets surrounding her mysterious death and the weeks leading up to it. One thing that nobody disputes is that Aaliyah was a phenomenal talent that was taken from the world way too early. Most people are also in agreement that if she hadn't died so early, she'd still be one of the top actresses and performers today. Listen to Brandy, who is also another musical legend, talk about how Aaliyah wasn't even touchable.
Was just in her own lane. She had no competition. Nobody even just let her be where she is, because she was just different. She just had it going on. She knew exactly.
But unfortunately, we all know she died in a mysterious plane crash. On August 22nd, Aaliyah flew to Miami and was filming some dance scenes for her Don't Rock the Boat video, directed by another music legend, Hype Williams. Now, the first sign that things were taking a turn was that Hype suddenly and inexplicably decided they should move the shoot to the Bahamas. It's never really been explained why he decided to make the switch when they were already in Miami, and it had all the tropical ocean vibes they needed for the video to begin with. That call right there has had people suspicious that Hype was in on the plot to kill Aaliyah and that he put the plan into motion. The next thing that should have been a red flag was that she wound up dead the one time she wasn't flying with a family member. Let me explain. It's pretty well documented that Aaliyah was terrified of flying, so she always flew with either her brother or her mom. Another thing that was weird was that Aaliyah was planning to stay in the Bahamas until the 26th. But filming and production wrapped up early on the 25th, and everyone insisted that they all leave on the 25th. When an investigation into the plane crash was conducted, it was found to be overloaded. It was actually overloaded by 700 pounds. Plus, not only did the pilot fake his license, he was high and drunk when the crash happened. A toxicology report in 2002 revealed that the pilot's blood had both alcohol and cocaine in it. According to the National Transportation Safety Board, witnesses say the plane lifted off and made it less than 100 feet into the air, then did a nosedive and crashed just past the runway into a marsh. In the instant the plane crashed, the fuselage caught on fire and killed everyone on the plane. When Dr. Giovanna Rahu conducted an inquest into the deaths at Princess Margaret Hospital's morgue in Nassau, he found that Aaliyah died after getting severe burns and a blow to the head. And according to The Sun, she also suffered from extreme shock that damaged her heart. Dr. Rahu speculated that her injuries were so severe and she had so much physical shock that it was pretty likely she would have succumbed to them even if she'd survived the crash. Now, as easy as it is to blame the pilot for the crash, a lot of people think that it's not all his responsibility to bear. After all, he did warn against making that flight, and there were people who forced his hand that are just as responsible, if not more so. But one thing we learned is that Aaliyah wasn't even awake when this all went down. In Kathy Andaloni's book, she says that Aaliyah was so freaked out about the flight that she wouldn't get in the plane, so she sat outside in the taxi. Then someone in her entourage gave her a sedative, which put her to sleep, and then they carried her onto the plane while she was unconscious, just a few minutes before the plane took off. Kathy said, "It's an unfortunate closure, but I needed to hear she didn't want to get on that plane. I needed to know that. The person who I thought had the most common sense in the world had common sense not to get on the plane. The fact that she was so adamant, staying in the cab, refusing, these are things we never knew." A week before the crash, Aaliyah said this in an interview. "It's dark in my favorite dream. Someone is after me. Don't know why. I got fear. Then suddenly I lift off. I fly away, far away. How do I feel now? It is like swimming in the air, free and without any weight. No one can reach me. No one can touch me. It's a wonderful feeling." It's like she predicted her own death. But who could have been after her? Well, her family is one option. Aaliyah hit the scene when she was a teenager, and it's no secret that older men were preying on her. It's been a well-known fact that R. Kelly was with Aaliyah when she was 15 and he was 27. In fact, they got married in secret when she was 15 and falsified the marriage certificate to say she was 18. When he went to trial for sex abuse, accusations were made that he bribed a government employee to get her a fake ID and then create a falsified marriage certificate so she could go get an abortion because he'd gotten her pregnant. And supposedly the reason he forced her to marry him was so he wouldn't get into legal trouble.
Having a conversation with Aaliyah, and I was like, yo, tell me what happened. And she was like, she just couldn't, what I'm saying? And I just left it at that. And she said, leave it alone.
Aaliyah's uncle Barry was actually the one who introduced her to Kelly when she was 12.
I was with Barry when Aaliyah died for a wrongful death. He got paid $90 million for her death. Am I supposed to say that on TV? Sue me. I ain't got nothing. So I was with him on the negotiations. You know what I'm saying?
Barry said he didn't know what was going on with R. Kelly, but that Aaliyah's mom did. And because someone knew, people feel like her family was at least somewhat responsible for her death.
Were you aware of the issues going on with R. Kelly when they were going on?
No, didn't have a clue. Completely ignorant to it.
Do you think anyone in the family was?
Yes. I think my sister knew a lot more than what we thought she knew.
We can't have a conversation about people who might have had reason to take Aaliyah out because they were using her without mentioning Jay-Z.
And he was working with R. Kelly and they were making so many records together. They made all those records together. They Aaliyah. They shared so much in common.
One person said Jay came to a party alone because he was interested in Aaliyah and that he was all over her. At the time, she was dating Dame Dash, who was the co-founder of Rockefeller Records with Jay-Z. So the partygoers said that there was some chemistry between Aaliyah and Jay, but that they thought it was weird since she was with Damon. They were hugging each other and you could totally see there was chemistry between them. I knew that Damon was going out with her, so I did think it was a little weird. Damon even said that Jay was trying to get with her. He tried very hard. I did not mean to fall in love with Aaliyah, she was just that cool. But we were both going hard. Everybody was trying to get to Aaliyah. It was not just Jay. I did not know Jay was trying to holler at her, but then it just happened like that. Everybody was trying. He was going hard. And when the Surviving R. Kelly documentary came out, Dame said that Jay-Z collaborating with R. Kelly really hurt him because Jay knew that Dame had issues with R. Kelly and the way he treated Aaliyah.
There was a girl, and when she was even trying to talk about it, she couldn't. Yeah. And I remember Aaliyah trying to talk about it, and she couldn't. She just would leave it at that dude was a bad man.
So when Jay did the Best of Both Worlds album with R. Kelly, Dame said he knew he had to keep his distance from him.
Human, bro. But I had to look the other way.
Right.
All these years. So publicly, that man did a record with that my girl that he liked as well. Right? Wow. You understand what I'm saying?
Wow.
But nobody.
There is also a theory that's been whispered for decades that Jay-Z was in on the conspiracy to kill Aaliyah so that Beyonce could rise to fame and take her place. I mean, if he couldn't have Aaliyah himself, nobody could. And Beyonce was first in line to take her place no matter how she got there. It even appeared like Beyonce and Aaliyah were fighting before her death.
They were having a hard time taking her solo. And then Aaliyah died. I think everybody that knows Sean Carter knows that he will slump anyone in any relationship for $1. Look at how he did Dame. Like, I don't give if you wanted to get away from your homie, if you wanted to get away from your partner, but to do it the way he did it, it's malicious. But maybe that was because he was a girl that didn't want you.
But it wasn't just R. Kelly and Jay-Z that she had beef with. She was actually arguing with a lot of people in her inner circle weeks before she died, such as Timbaland and Missy Elliott. Everybody knows that some of Aaliyah's best music came from the times she was working with these two. Aaliyah met Missy while she was working on her second album, One in a Million, around 1995 to 96. Missy actually wrote a huge chunk of the songs on it, like If Your Girl Only Knew, 4-Page Letter, Hot Like Fire, and One in a Million. Missy actually worked with Aaliyah until her death and wrote I Care For You, which was one of Aaliyah's last songs. But right before Aaliyah died, she and Missy weren't really talking and people knew about it. So when Aaliyah died and Missy came out talking about how she was like her little sister, there were comments being fired at her like, y'all didn't even like each other. Why did you and Aaliyah fall out? Or was that a lie? Are you gonna address the fact that y'all fell out before she passed? None of that has ever been cleared up, and we still don't know if Missy knows the real cause of Aaliyah's death. Timbaland has said in interviews that he wasn't good with Aaliyah in the weeks before she died.
Hey, like this, the thing that really bothers me the most about the death, we just got in an argument. And I never really got to say I'm sorry.
Timbaland also wanted Aaliyah, and he started having feelings for her before she was even 18. And he wasn't just after her heart, if you know what I'm saying. Aaliyah was just 16 when he met her, and he was instantly attracted to her. He was 20 to admit that he married his wife Monique because of how much she looked like Aaliyah. He said, "When I first met my wife, I knew I was gonna marry her because she looked like Aaliyah. Far be it from me to tell a woman what to do, but I swear if that were me, the day he admitted that would be the day I would have gotten the divorce papers. I've got the second-hand ick for her." While we're talking about feuds and falling outs, there seems to have been one with Brandy. Brandy and Aaliyah met when Brandy was 15, and they were both rehearsing for the Soul Train Music Awards. Of course, someone introduced the phenomenal performance to each other, and Brandy says that from the moment she met Aaliyah, she was an inspiration and she made sure to let Aaliyah know what she thought of her talent.
Shout out to my girl Aaliyah. I love you, girl. Really, I do. I'm a big fan.
On the subject of why Aaliyah and Brandy fell out, part of it had to do with the fact that Aaliyah always had a more mature image and brand than Brandy. I mean, Brandy was literally cast as Cinderella when she was 18, so that tells you how squeaky clean her image was. Anyway, Brandy allegedly made some snide comments about how Aaliyah was acting just a little too grown, and how Brandy's mom would never approve of her acting that way herself. And people who were around the two back then say that Brandy would drag Aaliyah for her preference in older men and said she was too grown for her age. Once, Aaliyah's former bodyguard said there was a big rift between Aaliyah and Brandy. He remembers being with Aaliyah at a concert where Brandy was also performing. Brandy wanted to be the closing act, but Aaliyah wasn't having it because the concert was in her hometown. There was no way she was gonna let Brandy come to Detroit and close a show she was doing. But when it came to interviews and the media, Aaliyah didn't say anything about the feud with Brandy.
That were said. Now, did you hear what you actually?
I caught wind of some of it, but I don't pay much attention to that. I think there's room out here for all of us. So, good luck, Brandy.
Apparently, she even turned down a role in Scary Movie so that she wouldn't step on Brandy's toes.
Was the Brandy character, and they wanted me to play Brandy. And kind of do a parody of her, and I just, I actually liked the script. I thought it was really funny, but I didn't want anybody to take like I was disrespecting her in any way, so I actually didn't do it.
So while Brandy was perceived to be openly talking smack about Aaliyah, Aaliyah didn't take that bait and didn't drag Brandy in public. Aaliyah being on top of the world made a lot of people jealous. And in her last weeks, that all sort of came to a head and had her arguing with everyone. Genuine, who was friends with Aaliyah, said that everyone having problems with Aaliyah before she died was business related.
Business, and when you're young, people can separate you, and you don't know how or why, you just are. And what touched my heart one time is Missy called me and she said she had a dream.
So what really happened to Aaliyah? We may never know the full extent of the situation, but I want to hear what you think about it. Was Aaliyah murdered in a plot to place Jay-Z and Beyonce in the spotlight? Did some of the people that were jealous of her gang up on her in an attempt to end her? Did her family have something to do with it? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.